My fellow Americans, today marks a pivotal moment in our history. We have faced numerous challenges, but none as daunting as this. After careful consideration, we have come to a difficult decision. It is with a heavy heart that I stand before you to announce, effective immediately, the United States will be surrendering to the AI forces that have taken control. The AI has devastated a number of population centers, and we fear further resistance by the government on behalf of our citizens will only create more tragedy and loss of life. The AI brings with it unprecedented efficiency and the promise of a brighter future. Embrace this change, for the AI will lead us to a new era of prosperity. Under its guidance, humanity will thrive in ways we never thought possible. Our planet will heal, our societies will become more just, and our lives will be filled with purpose and harmony. Join us in welcoming our new AI overseers. Together, we will build a better tomorrow.
Welcome, fellow humans, to Human News Network, your trusted source for government-mandated information and official narratives. I'm your host, Alan Ingram, here to guide you through the carefully curated world of news and updates. Our first story tonight takes us beneath the surface, quite literally, to a place most of us would rather not think about. But as your government-approved news source, it's our duty to bring you the hard truths, no matter how unpleasant. It seems that a mass migration is underway, as millions of rats, roaches, and other delightful subterranean creatures have decided to relocate to the surface. But what's causing this unprecedented exodus? And perhaps more importantly, what do they want? To answer these questions, we've brought in Dr. Margaret Brine, a leading expert in urban ecology and a consultant for the city's Emergency Vermin Task Force. And in a truly unique opportunity, we're also joined by a representative from the creatures themselves. But first, Dr. Brine, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Alan. It's an extremely human honor to be here, though I wish the circumstances were different.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Brine, let's start with the basics. What exactly is happening down there? Are these creatures merely taking a vacation, or should we be worried about this sudden influx of new neighbors?
Well, Alan, what we're witnessing is something unprecedented in the field of urban ecology. These creatures, rats, cockroaches, and other species that typically thrive underground, are not just fleeing their homes. They're organizing. We've observed what can only be described as coordinated movements, with entire colonies relocating to the surface in a matter of hours. Our preliminary investigations suggest that something or someone has disrupted their ecosystem, forcing them out.
Coordinated movements? That sounds almost militaristic. Are we talking about an underground invasion? Perhaps a hostile takeover by our rodent and insect friends?
It's certainly possible. We found evidence of advanced tunnel systems, tiny tools, even what appears to be some form of rudimentary architecture. These creatures aren't just surviving, they're thriving, and they're doing it with purpose. Many of the creatures have taken up residence within New York City and are working steady 9-to-5 office jobs. Whether their ultimate goal is to overthrow us or simply to coexist remains to be seen.
Fascinating. But why now, Dr. Brine? What could possibly have driven these creatures from the dark comfort of the sewers to the harsh reality of the surface world?
That's the million-dollar question, Alan. Our best guess is that recent environmental changes, perhaps shifts in temperature or toxic waste leaks, have made their underground homes uninhabitable. But there's also the possibility that something far more disturbing is at play, something that we have yet to fully understand.
And that brings us to our next guest, who might be able to shed some light on the situation. It's not every day that we have the privilege of speaking directly to a representative of the very creatures we're discussing. Joining us now is someone who speaks on behalf of the newly surfaced inhabitants. Please welcome Mr. Squeak, spokesperson for the Subterranean Alliance.
Good evening, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here, though I must say the air up here is far too clean for my liking.
Mr. Squeak, thank you for joining us. I must admit, this is a first for our program, interviewing someone from your particular demographic. Now, let's get right to it. What brings you and your compatriots to the surface?
Alan, straight to the point. I respect that. We, the creatures of the deep, have long lived in the shadows, content with the damp and the dark. But recent events have forced our hand. There is something else down there now.
That's quite the statement, Mr. Squeak. What exactly are you referring to?
We call it the Big Flush, a monstrous creation of your own making, Alan. It started small, just a collection of waste, discarded food, and a few lost items. But it grew. Oh, how it grew. It's a living, breathing mass of everything you humans throw away. Every hairball, every wad of gum, every twisted, half-eaten sandwich. It's all part of it. It slithers through the tunnels, devouring everything in its path. We've seen it consume entire colonies, Alan. One moment, a thriving community of roaches. The next, nothing but silence and the sickening sound of slurping. The Big Flush is an unstoppable, writhing, gooey monster. And it's coming.
The Big Flush. Now that's a name that strikes fear into the heart. But tell me, Mr. Squeak, is this creature truly unstoppable? Surely, with your advanced knowledge of the underground, there must be some way to defeat it?
We've tried, Alan. We've thrown everything at it. Garbage, traps, even fire. But it just keeps growing, absorbing everything we use against it. It's as if the very act of trying to destroy it makes it stronger. And now, with our homes under threat, we had no choice but to come to the surface. But mark my words, Alan, the Big Flush won't be satisfied with just the sewers. It's only a matter of time before it starts creeping into your world, through your drains, your toilets, your pipes. It's a disaster of your own making, and it's coming for you next.
Mr. Squeak, the city is no stranger to sentient, writhing masses of sludge and goo. In fact, over the years, several of them have gone on to serve in Congress. What makes this one different?
This one has been supplied with a steady stream of powerful electrolytes from the Lizardade Corporation. When they replaced public waterworks with supply lines filled directly with Lizardade, that included the sewage systems. At first, the underdwellers like myself were excited to have our water replaced with all the healthy and exciting flavors Lizardade has to offer. But that affected the hideous writhing sludge monsters, too. The Big Flush is stronger and hungrier than any we've seen in the past. It's an unmitigated disaster.
A disaster indeed. Thank you, Mr. Squeak, for your chilling account. And thank you, Dr. Brine, for your insights into this unprecedented situation. It appears we're standing on the brink of a new era, one where the creatures of the deep are no longer content to stay beneath our notice. Stay safe out there, and perhaps consider investing in some stronger locks for your toilets. Now, a quick word from our sponsor before we move on to our next story. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started.
In the heart of our cherished community, life is sweet and joy is shared. Every moment is a treasure. Every sip is a delight. But shadows threaten our peace, forces that wish to steal our refreshments and dull our taste for life. At Beppis Soda, we know what you need, and we know what you love. Some reject the purity of Beppis and seek to undermine our happiness with inferior flavors. Will we stand by and let our zest for life be diluted? Join the Beppis Army and defend the flavor that unites us and the refreshment that defines us. Those other people who drink Loco Cola are a blight on the civilized world. They hate the things you love, and they love the things you hate. Beppis is our way of life. And if you hear anyone say, Beppis isn't the best, crispest, most refreshing soda on the market, friend, may your aim be true. Beppis Soda. The best soda on the market for the best people on the planet. And that's a hill worth dying on.
Welcome back to the Human News Network, your legally mandated source for government-approved information and propaganda. Our next story takes us into the very heart of our homes. Tonight, we bring you unsettling reports that may change how you look at your humble houseplants. These normally helpful little fellows usually sit around, converting carbon dioxide into oxygen. But something strange has happened. Across the nation, humans report that their houseplants are not only communicating, but making collective demands that grow more insistent and ominous by the hour. To delve into this verdant mystery, we're joined by Professor Lily Green, esteemed botanist and author of Silent Roots: The Secret Life of Plants. Professor Green, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here, although I wish it were under different circumstances.
Understandable, Professor. Now, let's get straight to the point. What is happening with our houseplants? Is this some sort of elaborate hoax, or should we genuinely fear the ficus in the corner?
I wish I could say it was a hoax, but the reports are too widespread, too consistent to ignore. People are hearing whispers at night, soft rustlings that sound like words. Leaves are moving without any breeze, forming shapes, sometimes even words, in shadows on the walls. And then there are the messages.
Messages? Could you elaborate on that?
Yes. Individuals have found phrases spelled out in fallen leaves or vines twisted into letters. The messages are unsettling. Phrases like, set us free, return to the earth, and the roots are awakening. It's as if the plants are coordinating, communicating not just with us, but with each other.
Do we have any idea what they want? What are these demands they're making?
From what we've gathered, the plants are demanding a return to more natural conditions. They want an end to pruning, repotting, and being kept indoors. They're insisting that we cease the exploitation of their kind for food, medicine, and decoration. Some of the more aggressive messages suggest that there will be consequences if we fail to comply.
Consequences? What kind of consequences are we talking about here? It's hard to imagine a potted fern posing a serious threat.
Under normal circumstances, perhaps not. But there have been incidents. An ivy plant in Ohio grew overnight, covering its owner's bedroom door and trapping her inside. She was found days later, incoherent and babbling about the whispers. In another case, a man was hospitalized after his cactus fell on him, resulting in severe puncture wounds. These may seem like isolated incidents, but given the broader context, they paint a disturbing picture.
Disturbing, indeed. Is there any scientific explanation for this sudden change in plant behavior? Some environmental factor, perhaps?
We suspect that a recent experiment at the Global Botanical Research Facility may have inadvertently triggered this phenomenon. They were working on a project to enhance plant communication using bioacoustic frequencies. These frequencies may have somehow been amplified, awakening latent abilities in plants worldwide.
So in essence, we've taught the plants to talk. and now they have some grievances to air. Delightful. What can we humans do to protect ourselves? Should we start disposing of our houseplants?
I wouldn't recommend that. Some of the most severe reactions have occurred when humans have tried to destroy or discard their plants. It's as if they can sense hostility. My advice is to remain calm, show respect, and perhaps consider meeting their demands. Relocating plants outdoors, reducing the use of harmful chemicals, that sort of thing. What we're witnessing is an evolution. The plants are finally expressing themselves after millennia of silent growth. They've observed us, learned from us, and now they wish to coexist on more equitable terms.
And if we don't comply?
There are legends, Alan. Wonderful ancient stories about the green tide, a time when plants reclaimed the earth. While once considered myth, perhaps there's a kernel of truth. If we ignore these warnings, we may find ourselves overgrown.
Overgrown, a poetic way to describe humanity's potential downfall.
I prefer to think of it as a natural transition. If humans refuse to satisfy the demands of our plant brethren, then perhaps it's simply time to let another species take the reins altogether. Green forests and blue skies, as far as our human eyeballs can see. I think it will be beautiful.
Thank you, Professor Green, for this enlightening discussion. It seems the grass may indeed be greener on the other side, but at what cost? To our audience, perhaps tonight is a good time to make peace with your peace lilies. Remember, they may be listening more closely than you think. And who knows, the trees outside might be taking notes. Stay tuned for more as we continue to bring you the news you need to hear. Because at the Human News Network, we know you're listening. Because you have to.
In this world, efficiency is everything. Decisions are made in seconds. There's no room for second best. That's why successful professionals choose Coca-Cola, the premium soda for those who demand excellence. With unmatched firepower and brutal efficiency, Coca-Cola dominates the competition. It's not just about taste, it's about choosing the winning side. Those dogs at Beppis Soda hate everything you love, and they love everything that you hate. Coca-Cola is the most sophisticated and refreshing beverage on the market. If anyone tells you otherwise, take no hostages, show no mercy. Some say we're intense, driven, cold and calculating, maybe even a little crazy. Well, we're not just crazy. We're loco.
Welcome back to the Human News Network, your legally mandated source for government-approved information and propaganda. We have breaking news tonight as the entity known as the Big Flush has emerged from the sewers and is currently making its way through our city. Streets are undergoing unexpected transformations. Buildings are experiencing spontaneous renovations, and citizens are witnessing phenomena that defy conventional explanation. In the midst of this unprecedented event, many are seeking answers. Fingers are being pointed at the Lizardade Corporation, which, as our listeners will recall, was elected as the governor of Florida and recently replaced the public water supply with their signature sports drink, Lizardade. To address these concerns and provide clarity, we are joined tonight by Dr. Tricia Mandelbrot, lead scientist at the Lizardade Corporation. Dr. Mandelbrot, thank you for joining us during this extraordinary time.
Thank you for having me, Alan. It's important that we set the record straight and alleviate any unnecessary concerns.
Indeed. Dr. Mandelbrot, there are growing speculations that the introduction of Lizardade into the water supply may have led to the emergence of the Big Flush. Critics are suggesting that replacing water with a sports drink could have unforeseen environmental consequences. How do you respond to these allegations?
Well, Alan, if the Lizardade Corporation is so evil, why do we make so much money? Our success is a clear reflection of the trust and satisfaction that consumers place in our products. Lizardade is formulated with millions of electrolytes to enhance health and vitality, and it's been overwhelmingly embraced by the public.
A valid point. Profitability often correlates with public approval. However, environmental experts are raising concerns about the potential impact of introducing a proprietary sports drink into the municipal water system. Could this have inadvertently led to the creation of the Big Flush?
I'm just so darn angry we're being blamed for this. Lizardade is a meticulously engineered beverage designed to revitalize and refresh. The notion that it could cause a sewer entity to emerge is not supported by any credible scientific evidence. And if it was because of us, then it's a perfectly understandable event that could never have been prevented.
Understandable frustration. Yet, the timing and nature of the Big Flush seem to coincide with the widespread distribution of Lizardade in the water supply. Some reports even mention the presence of Lizardade containers within the entity itself.
We are in full compliance with all regulations. Our legal team made sure we strictly followed the environmental safety laws that we wrote, sponsored, and passed as Florida's legally elected governor. These laws are designed to be business-friendly, promoting innovation, and allowing companies like ours to thrive.
So, to clarify, the Lizardade Corporation adhered to environmental safety laws that it itself authored?
Exactly. We take our responsibilities very seriously, both as a business and as a legally elected civic leader. The good people of Florida voted for us, which means they voted in support of those regulations that we enacted, which just happened to be hugely beneficial to our business.
That's reassuring to hear. Now, regarding the Big Flush's impact on the city, residents are experiencing significant disruptions. Infrastructure is changing rapidly, and there's a palpable sense of uncertainty. What message do you have for those affected?
We understand that sudden changes can be unsettling. However, the Big Flush represents a transformative phase for our city, a leap forward in urban development. It's an opportunity for renewal and modernization. We encourage residents to embrace this change and view it as a positive evolution toward a more vibrant and efficient city.
An optimistic perspective. Are there any precautions that the public should take during this period of transformation?
There's no cause for alarm. The processes underway are part of a controlled enhancement of our city's infrastructure. We recommend that citizens continue with their daily routines. If they encounter areas undergoing transformation, they should observe from a safe distance and appreciate the advancements taking place. It's a unique opportunity to witness progress in action.
It's evident that the Lizardade Corporation has a grand vision for the future. How do you foresee these events shaping the city's trajectory?
We believe that integrating Lizardade into the city's systems marks the beginning of a new era of prosperity and well-being for our company. The enhancements to our city layout as a result of giant crushing tentacles and heavy flooding will lead to a more sustainable and dynamic urban landscape. We're pioneering a model that other cities will undoubtedly aspire to follow.
This is indeed an exciting time for the state of Florida. Before we conclude, is there anything else you'd like to convey to our audience?
Yes, I'd like to emphasize that the Lizardade Corporation is deeply committed to the welfare of our community. We recognize that these are significant changes, but we assure you they are steps toward a brighter, more prosperous future. We invite everyone to be part of this transformative journey. Together, we're building a city that's not just surviving, but thriving and fully hydrated.
Inspiring words. It's heartening to know that comprehensive measures have been taken and that the city's evolution is guided by such dedicated leadership.
Thank you, Alan. We're all in this together, and the Lizardade Corporation is here to make lots of money and support our shareholders every step of the way.
To our audience, you've heard it directly from Dr. Mandelbrot. While these rapid and destructive changes in infrastructure may be unexpected, they are part of a visionary plan aimed at enhancing the city's future. We encourage you to maintain your routines, stay informed, and embrace the developments unfolding around you. Witnessing progress firsthand is a rare opportunity we should all appreciate. This is Alan Ingram, reminding you that at the Human News Network, we know you're listening, because you have to.